being recorded.
Welcome in, everyone. Thank you all for joining us on this Wellness Wednesday. Today we have Miss Cynthia Schick from Chefs from Seniors Charlotte talking to us today about nutrition and the Parkinson's diet, or in this case, the Mediterranean diet. And just a few housekeeping things. We will have an interactive session today. I believe we have a quiz, an IQ quiz on what your knowledge is about nutrition. And so that'll take place later in today's presentation. And if you have any questions, be sure to utilize the chat box function, or if you know how to raise your hand here on Zoom, there's a button for it. Either way, we will try and take your questions as they come in. Other than that, I will turn it over to Ms. Schick here and allow her to talk to you guys.
Thank you, Kiana. Thank you so much. Like Kiana said, my name is Cynthia Schick, and I am excited to be here. I've been living in Charlotte for 12 years. I came here from the north. I lived most of my life in New Jersey and the New York area. But a little bit about my background before we get into talk about food. I have mostly a business background. I spent a lot of time in the business world, 25 years with AT&T and 15 years with my own businesses. But while I was working, as many women do, I was raising a family, and I had a very passionate interest in food and passionate interest in nutrition. And so I have spent a lot of my hobby times playing with food. I do call myself a foodie, and I think food is fun. Food can be creative, and it's also very social. So I do have a passion for food. I did start this business, Chefs for Seniors, 3.5 years ago. It was 2019. And we were looking for a way to give back to the community and follow our passions. And we found this business as a franchise. So it is a franchise. My husband and I became the 42nd franchisee in the country. Right now, there's only over 90 franchises in the country serving our seniors. And so if you know of anybody out of the state or even out of the region, chances are there might be a Chefs for Seniors service in the area that you know someone that might needs it. So, please, you can look on our website and see where we are located. I am going to talk about my business on this Zoom call, but I'd first like to talk about, just food in general, food for people that are dealing with Parkinson's, and then some of the healthier aspects of food, like the blue zones. If you haven't heard of the blue zones, they are the areas of the world that people are living the longest. We'll talk about some foods that prevent aging, anti-aging type foods, and then we'll talk about my company. And in the meantime, please just speak up if you have any questions. I would prefer this to be more of an interactive session, so don't be afraid to interrupt me. Just raise your hand or say, I have a question, and I would love to hear your question. I am not a registered dietitian, although I do study a lot about food. As you'll hear in a few minutes, we do serve a lot of people who have dietary restrictions, and that is one of the benefits of a personal chef. We can meet your dietary restriction once we understand it. Those diets of, minimal diets like low sodium, low cholesterol, but diabetic friendly, renal friendly. We're servicing a woman who has Sjogren's disease. She has no saliva. We have people that just need pureed meals. And so once we understand the dietary restriction, we do a lot of research. We'll even talk to the doctor to find out how we best serve those clients. But only a personal chef can do that. You can't get, a low sodium meal really from a fast food place or even in a restaurant. So personal chefs can help meet those dietary restrictions. So let's get started. I'm going to call up and start with hold on. I'm going to start with, I can't seem to share, Kiana. I don't have the option to, can you see my screen?
I cannot, but let's try and troubleshoot here. let me,
Yeah, I usually, if I drag my cursor to the bottom, it gives me an opportunity to share.
okay, just 1 second.
Okay, thank
I'm
you.
gonna, mhm. Okay. Okay. You wanna try again to see if anything's
You know, it
different?
might be because I'm in projector mode. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Let me see if that. Thank you for your patience, everybody. We'll figure this out. Okay, here we go. Right, there we go. Can we see my screen now?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Thank you. Okay, so I have done a little bit of research on what diets are ideal for people with Parkinson's disease. And basically, multiple sites have pointed me back out to the Mediterranean diet, which is one of the healthier diets in the country. And then I digged a little deeper, and I also found out some of the vitamins that, not from a supplement standpoint, but from a food standpoint, that you could focus on that could possibly slow the disease progression. And so you could do some research yourself on Mediterranean diets and get a sense of, the types of food that you could be eating to help maybe slower some of your symptoms and progression. One of the things that was really strongly highlighted is to eat fish oils and omega-3 fats. That's very, very good for anybody, the average healthy person. But fats that are included in salmon, sardines, herring, oysters, these are very, very good for your brain and very, very good for your nervous system. Also, fava beans. They're very easily found in your grocery store. Beans are very, very good in general because they offer a lot of fiber, and fiber is very important. Fiber helps take toxins out of our body, and so the more fiber we have, the more our system is cleansed. So fava beans are one of those beans that are very, very good for Mediterranean diets and Parkinson's diets. Also, foods that contain vitamin B1. These are, as you see here, many of your fruits, your bananas, your oranges, nuts in general are very, very good. They called nuts a good fat, right? There are good fats and bad fats that we can incorporate into our diet. Nuts have a good fat. Whole grain breads are also very good. They're very good sources of B1, another vitamin that's very good for us that we can focus bringing into our diets through food. Vitamin C is another one. Broccoli is always good for vitamin C, but peppers. If you've never roasted peppers, your green peppers, your red, your yellow, your orange, roast peppers in your oven, little salt and pepper and oil, and cut them up in strips. They get caramelized and they taste like candy. So your peppers are a wonderful way to get your vitamin C and other nutrients. Strawberries, bananas, potatoes. I would focus more on your sweet potatoes versus your white potatoes, but both are healthy for you. Foods containing zinc. These are your seafoods, especially your shell foods. Some of your breads, you might want to look at the packaging there. Cereals that have wheat germ in it. There are some cereals that have wheat germ, or wheat germ in specific is healthy. If many of you do smoothies, you can put a tablespoon of wheat germ in your smoothie, and that would give you a good source of zinc. And your meats. From what I read in different various sites about protein, protein is important for people who have Parkinson's disease, but not high levels of protein. From what I can understand, and I read this on some like Johns Hopkins and other credible websites, if you're eating too much protein, it could interfere with your medicine and the medicine absorption. So if that is a consideration, please talk to your doctor about that. But protein is important, but high levels might be interfering with absorption of medicine. Let me see. Food containing vitamin D. Your oily fishes, again, have vitamin D, as well as good fat. Your red meats, but you want to minimize them. Your egg yolks. We used to be very concerned about the cholesterol in egg yolks. That is not such a big thing anymore. Your egg yolks have some good fat, as long as you're not eating maybe 5, 6 eggs a day. And I don't know who can afford that anyway. Eggs are really costly, aren't they, right now? But you want to eat the vitamins that will, potentially lessen your symptoms, but also give you energy physically and for your brain. Food that contains antioxidants. Antioxidants are a great source of foods with antioxidants are a great source because they fight your free radicals in your system. Many of your fruits and your berries, blueberries, cranberries, grapes, cherries, really, really good for you. In fact, I heard blueberries strengthen the capillary walls that can prevent heart attacks. Again, more nuts. And we're going to talk about the value of nuts when we talk about the Blue Zone diets. Nuts are incredibly important for you. Now, they're very caloric, so you don't want to eat a can of nuts a night, but a handful of nuts every day is very beneficial. Spices like turmeric. Turmeric, you've probably heard, is an anti-inflammatory. It will help inflammation in your body. But I've also read that spices like turmeric and cumin, they're spices that are really big in the Indian culture. And the Indian culture has the least amount of mental disease with age. They have the least amount of dementia, and they have the least amount of Alzheimer's. And they point to many of the spices that they use in their food daily. And so spices like turmeric are not only antioxidant and they're anti-inflammatory, but they're very, very good for your brain as well, probably because of those anti-inflammatory properties. Parsley, believe it or not, parsley is more than just a garnish. Parsley has a lot of antioxidants in it. Cocoa powder. So chocolate is very good. As you know, the higher level of cocoa, closer to the dark chocolate, that's better for your heart. Vegetables, broccoli, artichoke, spinach, kale. In fact, spinach and kale are the highest, they give you the highest nutritional value of any vegetable, off the charts, according to Dr. Firmer, if you're familiar with him. So spinach and kale, incorporate those in your salads, a spinach leaf. Incorporate kale, chop it up small. It's very fibrous, but kale is incredibly nutritional. Your citrus fruits are very good for antioxidants. We all know green tea has been very good. A lot of research on the benefits of green tea. If you haven't heard of matcha, M-A-T-C-H-A, matcha, many of our coffee stores have it now. Matcha is a concentrated form of green tea, and it gives you a natural energy boost and a ton of green tea in a cup of matcha. Very, very healthy for you. And we're back to beans. Beans have a lot of antioxidants, and again, they have a lot of fiber. Fiber is very good to keep your digestive system going, and it's also good to clean your body out of toxins. So you want to keep a lot of fiber in your system. Here are some of the foods you want to avoid when you have Parkinson's, or just in general. Foods with high saturated fats, and a lot of our processed foods, which is the next one, have high saturated fats. You can find saturated fats in your ketchup. This high fructose corn syrup is a ingredient in many of our processed foods, and it's very unhealthy for us. So become a label reader and look at the type of fat that's in some of our foods, so you could just educate yourself on picking the right products. And the trends are just wonderful in the amount of healthy products that can be found that are very complementary to what we've been commonly eating anyway. You can find a healthy version of most of the foods that we want to eat, or you can prepare them healthier. But anyway, saturated fats, processed foods. Stay away from large amount of protein. Again, it could block your amount of medicine that's being absorbed in your system. Iron, a lot of iron. Iron is needed. It's needed for healthy blood, but it also could reduce the medicine that's being absorbed in your body. So these are the questions that you want to ask your doctor when you meet them. And just, ask about whether or not you should focus on this. This is the findings that I'm reading on many of the credible Parkinson's websites. You want to avoid drinking too much juice with acids, high citrus acids. They could get in the way of the medicine absorbing. We all know that grapefruit juice blocks statins from working. In this case, orange juices do the same. Sugary foods and drinks. We all love sugar and it's addicting. And many of our foods now come with sugar, salt, and fats to keep us coming back for them. That's why we have to go for the natural sugar products so they don't, pull on our addictive side of our brains. So stay away from those sugars. Try to just go for the natural sugars and stay away from the drinks that have a lot of sugar in it, like regular soda. And large amount of alcohol apparently is also not very good for Parkinson's, but it's not very good in general for anybody. Hold on, I just want to start. So that is the information on the Parkinson's diet that I've done some research on. Do you have any questions about what I've shared so far? Okay. What we have on the screen right now is just a page that talks about the blue zones. And there are books on the blue zone diets. There are books on the research that came from these parts of the world. But there are 5 blue zones around the world, and they are the areas that people are living the longest. They have the most people that are living over 100. And they are in Sardinia, Italy, in Okinawa, Japan, in Costa Rica, Greece, and California. So it's interesting that we have one here in Loma Linda, California. That's Northern California, but the others are in 3 different continents. So these areas have been studied, and what we have on the screen are the things that all 5 of these areas have the most, the things they have the most in common. One of the things that I think is really big is they have fewer ingredients. They eat an average of 21 ingredients every day. Their body is used to the same types of food, the same 21 ingredients. Where in countries like ours, we have the benefit of trying many different foods from many different restaurants, or buying different foods and preparing different meals. And it's a wonderful thing, but apparently it's maybe a little bit healthier to give your body the same types of ingredients on a regular basis. That's what this research has proven. Cruciferous vegetables, those are your broccolis and your cauliflowers. They're high in fiber and antioxidants, and they're eaten a lot in these blue zones. More fiber than just vegetables. They eat a lot of beans. In fact, on the bottom of the screen there, the 4 common ingredients that all these diets have are beans, greens, grains, and nuts. So your beans for your fiber, your greens for your antioxidants, as well as your grains, and your nuts for your good fat. Those are the 4 things that they have in common. And then they have other things, like they finish off with olive oil. Olive oil is a nice flavor to saute your vegetables with, but once you use olive oil and you heat it up, you're losing the nutritional value of olive oil. Olive oil is best as a finisher, as a topping on a salad. There's nothing wrong with olive oil to cook with, but you're not going to get the most nutritional value unless you're using it as a topical. All these 5 blue zone areas do drink their red wine, but they drink it in moderation. They're 90% plant-based. So they're getting their protein from plants, and there's lots of vegetables that give you protein and lots of other ways to get protein. They don't eat a lot of meat. They retreat from meat, as it says. They reduce dairy. What we didn't know when we were growing up and raising children is that dairy is an inflammatory. And there's a lot of research that says dairy isn't as good for you anymore. So they've limited their dairy. They don't have a lot of sugar. They drink the red wine daily. But what's also important about the blue zone diets is they live off the land and they stay moving. Many of these people that are 100 or more are still riding bikes, or they're walking, or they're growing gardens. They stay moving. They stay feeding their body with oxygen, feeding their toes and extremities with oxygen as they keep moving. That is a big way of staying staying healthy. When you slow down, your body slows down, and it's not as healthy as trying to keep moving. Any questions on the blue zones? Okay, we'll move on to the next slide. So if you're thinking about the foods that you can eat to help us from aging, whether it's mental, physical, or you know, how we feel, these are some of the best foods that you can eat and incorporate into your diet on a daily basis. Watercress. We don't hear a lot about watercress, but apparently it has some very good healthy properties. Red peppers. There's an ingredient in the red peppers that it causes the red. I'm sorry, I'm not coming up with it, but red peppers are incredibly healthy. Papayas, blueberries, broccoli, spinach. Back to spinach being a very high nutritional value vegetable. Nuts again. Avocado. Avocado has good fats. It's high in calories, but it has the good fats that help our brains and our hearts. Sweet potatoes versus white potatoes. Sweet potatoes are known as one of the superfoods. And pomegranate seeds. Who knew those pomegranate seeds could be on the top list of anti-aging foods? If we incorporated these foods in our diet, we might have more mental clarity and physical ability just by incorporating a few of these foods in our diets. I'm going to. Okay, I am now going to go to our quiz. No, yes, let me go to the quiz because this is a fun quiz. I'm going to have to give me a second here. The pictures of everybody on the call are behind my are in front of my, there we go. Thank you. There we go. Okay. So I usually do this in person, and it's a lot of fun, and I usually have a prize. Today you'll win the bragging rights for understanding a lot about nutrition and how to cook a little healthier. This talk was developed to help you understand how you can add more value, health value to how you cook, and just learn a little bit more about food. So first, I'm going to ask questions, and then I'll reveal the answers. Okay, so the first one, question number 1. When cooking pasta, when should you add the salt in the water? Anybody have any thoughts on that? This is an easy one. Yes, Martha? Oh, Martha, can you open up your microphone?
When you start cooking it?
Yes. It's not based on nutrition. It's just based on flavor and timing.
Yeah.
Flavor. Yeah, you put salt in your water when you're cooking pasta to add flavor to the pasta. It brings the flavor out. But if you put it on in the beginning, it will add to the speed that your water is boiling. It'll get your water boiling faster. Thank you, Martha. There it is. While the water, yeah.
Before you move on, are you sharing this as well? Because we still see the top 10 anti-aging foods.
Oh my gosh, yes, I am. I see it on my screen. I am sorry.
No, that's okay. You might have to go in back into Zoom where we all are, and go back to the share screen. In Zoom, you can like specifically pick like one window to open and show at one time. So that's why we weren't seeing it as well.
Thank you, Kiana. Do you see it now?
We do not.
Okay.
Right now it's showing that you don't have anything shared.
Okay, so share screen. Okay, give me a second here. Thank you for your patience, guys. I apparently closed it when I was looking to open it, so I'm waiting for it to open right now. Okay. You can't see it?
Not yet. So I don't know if this is what you were looking at or not, but so if you go back to the green button at the bottom of the screen on Zoom, it'll give you, once you click share screen, it'll give you an option to click on one of your open windows. And so that could be how you get it.
Yeah, I have done this, but it has been a while.
Well, if nothing else, I mean,
Hold
I think
on.
it'd get worse if you, okay.
I'm sorry. Okay. I am sorry. I can't get the share button up on the bottom, Kiana, and I don't know why. I go to the Zoom
Mhm.
meeting.
I know, well, preferably we would like to have it up, but I think it works if you just talk to
Oh.
everyone.
You're kind. What if I went in and went out again? Do you think that would be
I don't think that that would work because you still, well, unless you just can't click on the share screen. Is there any way that you could maybe share your thing with me really quickly? I don't know what format it's in.
yeah, I know it's a PowerPoint.
Okay, if you want to email it to me, I can try and share it as well.
Yes, I am sorry. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Okay, so I'm going to. You can't see any of my screen right now?
No, ma'am.
Okay, it's loading right now and I'll be sending it to you in a second. Meanwhile, I'm still going to play.
Okay.
I just sent it to you. Did you get it? It's a graphic heavy slide presentation. So
Yes, I just got it. It's downloading now. Okay, I am opening it up, and can you tell me which slide I should be on?
we will be on the third slide.
Third slide. Okay, great. Okay. All right, let me go ahead and share my screen here. And present mode. Okay. And this is the question we just finished answering. I'll go ahead and move to the next one.
Okay, can you make it larger?
Oh, I didn't, it's on present mode for me.
Oh, for you. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Can
All right.
everyone see it on present mode as well?
Okay. No. All right. Well, let's get going. Thank you for your patience, everyone. All right. So when you are cooking meat and you are sauteing or browning the meat, what are the answer? What are the little pieces of meat that stick to the pan? What are they called? Anybody have a question? Anybody have an answer? It is called fond, F-O-N-D, and it is where the flavor is. You want to deglaze that with some wine or with some broth, and that is the basis or the foundation for some of your sauces. Okay, so when you're browning meat and maybe finishing it off in the oven, you want to save those little meat pieces. They're called fond in your pan, and that is the basis of a great sauce. Okay, there you go. Next question, Tiana. Does anybody know the original name for canola oil and where it originated? There was a name change that was a well-needed name change, and where the oil originated. So canola oil is a good oil to saute your vegetables in. It doesn't add a lot of flavor, but it does add more of a texture. The original name of canola oil was rapeseed, not grapeseed, but rapeseed oil. And it was changed to canola oil because it came from Canada. It originated from Canada. But again, canola oil is still a healthy oil to saute your meals with. And it does have minimal saturated fats. Okay, next question. What is more likely to get you sick, raw vegetables or meat? Anybody have any thoughts on that? And let me just rephrase that. What is more likely to get you sick, raw vegetables or raw meat? So the answer is
Raw meat.
raw vegetables.
Oh, because of salmonella.
Well, because with meat, chances most likely you're going to cook off any bacteria that's on the surface of the meat. With vegetables, if you haven't washed them, you are likely to have more contaminants. In our system, we have two different, and I suggest you do the same, two different cutting boards. We have a cutting board for meat, and we have a cutting board for vegetables to prevent that cross-contamination. But meat, your contaminants will most likely get cooked off, where on your vegetables, they will not, especially if you're eating them raw. Okay, next question. Okay, what are the health benefits of using Himalayan salt? Anybody have any thoughts on that?
It's not iodized. Doesn't have.
Well, it is minerals. You're absolutely right.
Okay.
So there's less sodium in a teaspoon of Himalayan salt. Himalayan salt is actually a hydrator. It actually, brings water into your system, and then it adds some of those minerals that are healthy for us, your calcium, your magnesium, and your potassium over your regular table salt. So that is something that you can make a small change in your cooking today just by buying that light pink Himalayan salt. Okay, next question. Who likes guacamole? What ingredient will make your guacamole very creamy? Anybody have any thoughts?
Tahini?
Tahini would be a good guess, and it might very well do that, but it's really just a dollop of mayonnaise.
Mm.
Just a small little bit of mayonnaise will smooth out and make your guacamole very creamy. And guacamole is very, very good for you. It's a good fat. If you haven't had avocado toast, it's a really nice way to start your day. It will give you energy. You can chop it up with some onions, some tomatoes, a little bit of salt on a piece of toast. It's a very healthy breakfast. Okay, Hellmann's mayonnaise is marketed by another name on the West Coast. Does anybody have an idea? And down south here, I know we have Hellmann's fans and we have Duke fans. Is there, I think most people from the north are used to Hellmann's, and I think it's Duke is more of a southern product. But on the West Coast, Hellmann's is marketed as best brands. And I've never really looked into it, but it's just an interesting question. Why would a company have a different name for the same product in different parts of the country? Okay. What kind of tomato is considered higher in quality and lower in acid?
The Roma.
No, well, there's a picture of the Roma tomato. It's actually a tomato that you're not going to buy in the produce department. It's a tomato that you'll buy in the aisle, in the international aisle or the tomato aisle. It is a San Marzano tomato. Have anybody seen the San Marzano tomatoes? They come in a can. Well, the San Marzano tomato is grown in a certain part of Italy. And it is the part of Italy where the Mount Vesuvius volcano erupted, and the tomato was grown in the ashes of the volcano. And they give you a higher quality and lower acid. The nice thing about that is if you have acid reflux disease and you still want your tomato sauce, and tomatoes can be very acidic, the San Marzano tomato will not affect your acid reflux. It's a very low acid tomato with high quality taste. And so it's great for your spaghetti sauces. Okay, there it is, San Marzano. What type of tuna fish is healthier, packed in water or packed in oil? Anybody have any thoughts?
Oil.
You're right. Now, the natural inclination would think it would be packed in water would be healthier, but you're going to get a drier product. And most people are going to want to put fat into that drier product. So you're going to put more mayonnaise into a can of tuna that's packed in water to bring out that flavor. If it's packed in oil, it's good fat. That's good oil in with tuna. It's a good fat. And you will need less mayonnaise to make that product the way you want to eat it. And so packed in oil is healthier. You'll use less bad fat to make it edible. Okay, next one. What is the healthiest way to saute your vegetables? Any thoughts on that? Actually, the healthiest way to saute vegetables is not using oil. It's doing a water saute. you'll get the same results from a texture standpoint if you saute your celery and your carrots and your onions in water. You'll get the same texture as you would in oil. Oil adds a little bit of flavor, but if you're looking to cut fat in your diet, this would be a good way to do it. You can saute vegetables in in water instead of an oil, and still end up having a good product, maybe a little bit healthier.
Huh.
What is the French term for the mix of carrots, onions, and celery? The French term is mirepoix. You'll hear people that are in the food business throw that term around very easily. It's the basis for a lot of stews. It's the basis for most soups. It's mirepoix. It's your carrots, onions, and celery. It's the foundation for many, many meals, especially in international cooking, but also in cooking in this country as well. Okay, what is the difference between Parmigiano cheese and Pecorino Romano? Anybody have a thought? Okay, well, Parmesan cheese is cooked with, is prepared from cow's milk, and Pecorino Romano cheese is cooked with sheep's milk. And there is a distinction in how you should use them. The flavor for your sauces, for your spaghettis, for your Italian dishes should come from your Pecorino Romano cheese, your sheep's milk cheese, where your Parmigiano cheese, if you buy it in a wedge, the Italians use that for a appetizer. It's very, very rich. It's wonderfully flavored if you just cut a piece of it versus shaving it. It's more used for an appetizer versus a topping on an Italian dish. So your Pecorino Romano has more flavor to add to your sauces, while your Parmigiano cheese is more of an appetizer, which I think is different how we use it here in this country. Which type of cooking provides the most consistent heat? Conventional, or convection?
Convection.
Exactly. Very good. Your convection stove cooks your food sort of in a cooks your food from the entire piece. Let's say there's a piece of meat in the oven. It's going to cook the whole thing at the same time, where your convection, your conventional oven, which is what we're used to, is going to cook it from the outside in. So your temperatures are going to vary. With convection oven, and most of us have a convection oven associated with our conventional oven, we just haven't read the manual. You can get more benefit and more evenly heated food with your convection oven. And it's faster as well. Okay, when cooking fish with the skin, how do you prevent the skin from burning, but you still get the crispiness that you desire? Some people really like that skin on the salmon. So how do you get it to the point where it's not going to burn the pan, but it's still going to be a nice edible piece of fish with skin? So when you're cooking it, you want to cook the skin down first. You want to spray a little bit of spray on the pan, and the skin will lift itself when it's ready to be flipped over. Does that make sense? The skin will lift itself, and that's when you know it's time to turn it, and it might start burning then. So you want to allow the skin to lift off the pan and turn it over at then, and you'll get a nice well cooked half side of your fish, and you can eat that skin if that's what you enjoy. And there's a lot of good fat in that skin. Okay, other than flour and cornstarch, what powdered product can you find among the spices that can be used as a thickener in sauces? Okay, there's a product called arrowroot out there, and it's a very natural product, and it can thicken your sauce just like flour and cornstarch if you don't have that in the house. And it's a little bit more natural. And it's also a gluten-free product if you're looking to make a gravy. It's called arrowroot. Okay, well, that winds down our IQ test. Does anyone want to talk about how many you might have gotten right? Okay. I am now going to talk about the Chefs for Seniors business. This is something that I should maybe send over to you, Kiana?
If you'd like to try and share your screen, I think you did just fine with the original presentation, so it should still be able to share.
I don't. Yeah, I am miffed at why that wouldn't come up.
Hmm. But if not, you are welcome to send it to me again, and then I'll share it as well.
Okay. Okay, it's coming over. Did you get it?
I just got it. I'm gonna try and download it now. Okay. Let me share my screen again. Okay. Are you able to see my screen? Are you able to see my screen?
I think the problem for me is I have lost the visual to the meeting, and obviously I'm still on, but that is why I can't find the share button, which is ridiculous. But I'm sorry. Should I jump into it?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for your patience again. And so the business that I have is called Chefs for Seniors, and we are in-home personal chefs for seniors who cannot cook for themselves anymore, or frankly don't want to cook for themselves anymore. We come in once a week or every, I'm going to go to the next slide. Okay, we come in weekly or we come in bi-weekly, and we prepare a pre-selected set of meals for you. We can put up to 200 different recipes in front of you that we have in our cookbook, but we really want to cook what you want to eat, especially based on any kind of dietary restrictions that you have. We prepare nutritious meals. We focus on bringing healthy options to you. If you'd like a meatloaf, we might suggest maybe we can make it a turkey meatloaf to make it healthier. But it is a paying service, so we do want to prepare meals that you will eat. But if we're cooking meals for you for a week, you don't have to freeze the food. But if we're cooking meals for 2 weeks for you, you'll have to freeze the food. And we also can cook recipes that you have. If you have your mother's favorite meatloaf or your wife's favorite meatloaf, we would love to prepare that for you. Today, I have 10 chefs right now serving Charlotte in the Charlotte community. And what happens is I assign you a chef, and that chef will get to know your palate, get to know your dietary restrictions, and will offer a variety of different foods for you to try if you're so interested. Going on to the next slide. How we get started is I come out and meet you, and I take what I like to call a flavor profile. And we talk about what you like to eat, what you don't like to eat, what your food allergies might be, what your dietary restrictions are. And we get a really good sense of how you like to eat. So when we get started with you, we can do well. Like I said, we have recipes that are gluten-free, low sodium, diabetic friendly, renal friendly. We have a real mix of clients right now. And if we need to do some research on the best type of food for them, we do that research, and we'll talk with a dietitian. But we really believe at the end of the day that food is medicine. And if you're eating the right foods, you'll give yourself more mental energy and more physical energy. Next slide, please. All of our chefs are fully vetted. They're background checked. We make sure they have a driver's license. They are interviewed by myself and by my husband. We look more than just cooking skills in our candidates for chefs. We want to make sure they're good people with good character and compassion. We take very seriously the type of person that we put into a senior's home. So they're vetted highly, and not only for their culinary skills, but for their character as well. They all have gone through a ServSafe accreditation to make sure they understand, how to prepare and not, prevent cross-contamination when they're cooking. But we're really passionate about making high quality meals for you. We only use the freshest ingredients. And this does become a relationship. It's very interesting. We get to know each other very well. Now, we do all the grocery shopping prior to us coming into your home and preparing meals. We can also pick up groceries from the store if you need them. And I'm going to go into our charges in a few minutes, but we charge by the service fee and a separate fee for the groceries. We menu plan with you. We talk to you about what we're preparing a couple of days before. Like I said, we do all the grocery shopping, and we come in weekly or every other week, depending on what you want. All my chefs have their own set of equipment. We will love to use your pots and pans if that's fine with you, but they all have their own knives. But if you don't have that kind of equipment, our chefs are equipped to come in and prepare the meals and get the job done with the equipment they have. They're typically in your home for 2.5 hours, depending on how much food they're cooking. And we typically, for a week's worth of food, we are preparing at least 7, nights worth of meals, if that's what our clients want, for 1 week. And we'll prepare up to 14 for our clients if we're coming in every 2 weeks. And that doubles if we're cooking for a customer. It's very important for our seniors to have one good meal each day for nutrition, and that's what we can do for them. We do know that as we get old, we stop eating a little bit. We are not as hungry and we eat less. And so we can adjust to that. We can adjust to preparing smaller meals for you, smaller but healthier meals. And this is a fact. 33% of adults who go into ERs are considered malnourished because they're not eating the right foods. They're doing what's easy. And so it's very, very important to eat healthy in your everyday diet. So here's some of our pricing. If we come in for a week for one person, it's $135 plus your groceries. We're making 3 different recipes, and we're preparing up to 8 meals. What I mean by 3 different recipes is we're going to cook meatloaf with all the sides, as an example, pork tenderloin with all the sides, as an example, and maybe a chicken dish. And we oftentimes will add a soup or a salad to that, which means you're going to eat something twice. You're going to eat the chicken or the meatloaf. You're going to eat something twice to get to the 6 or 7, 8 meals that we're making. If we're cooking for 2, it's $165 a week. And we're making the 3 different recipes, which would yield anywhere between 12 and 14 meals. If we're coming in every other week, for 1 person, it's $160. We're making 4 different recipes. If we're coming in every 2 weeks, it's $190 for 4 different recipes. But we are making 20 to 24 meals, packaging them up, labeling them, and dating them. So that is our pricing. For those of you that might have long-term health insurance, if you've had it for a while, you can look at your policy and see if meal planning is a part of that insurance policy. The newer insurance plans don't have it, but if you've had it for 15 to 20 years, some of those do have meal planning, and your service fee would get picked up. Like I said, we do all the grocery shopping, and there is no upcharge on the groceries. But our charges would, we take credit cards, and we would charge your card for every service, the service fee plus your groceries. Are there any questions about our services? Okay, are you there, Kiana?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, well,
Go
that
ahead
is
and stop sharing.
who we are.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions? At this time, you don't have to utilize the chat box function. You can come off of mute and just ask your question.
Are you in other areas besides Charlotte?
Yes, we are. Well, locally, we're in Gaston County and the Lake Norman area, as well as York and Lancaster. They are other franchisees that have those territories, but we do have 90 franchisees around the country.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Well, I thank you for your time. If you're interested in Chefs for Seniors at all, we have a website, chefsforseniors.com/Charlotte. Love to answer any of your questions or begin to serve you. And by the way, we don't have any contracts. We don't want you to feel obligated to use us. We want you to enjoy our services. We believe in good communication. If something's not working, we want to know, we want to fix it. Or if the service isn't working for you, we're fine with that as well.
Well, before we get off here, I want to make sure that there's no other questions. Judith, I saw that. I think you raised your hand. I just want to make sure if you have a question, you can unmute yourself.
I didn't have any questions. I was just saying thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us today. And thank you, Ms. Cynthia, for the amazing presentation with all the information, especially about the blue zones and the diet. Hopefully everyone found something helpful in today's presentation. It will be made available on our YouTube page by the end of the week. But feel free to reach out to me if you have any other questions, and I can direct you to Ms. Schick here.
Thank you so much. And I apologize for the technical problems, but thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. You enjoy the rest of your Wednesday.
All right, thank you.